The
happening
cave
to
was
him.
dark, but it was not silent. Every drop of water echoed like a whisper, and every
It's
crack
the
in the stone seemed
transformation.
alive. Ethan, the
Happening
human
to
There doesn't
mechanic,
appear to
walked
be
slowly,
any external
his
trauma.
lantern light cutting through the
The
heavy
life support
shadows.
readings are stable.
He was not here
It's
by
the
choice, not
transformation.
fully. The scavenger crew he worked for had pushed him into this place, telling him to find parts, scrap, or anything useful. But deep in his heart, Ethan knew this cave was not an ordinary ruin. The walls glowed faintly with strange green veins, almost like blood vessels of a giant body. Machines were half buried in the stone, old and broken, yet they hummed weakly as if still breathing. Ethan wiped the sweat from his forehead, his fingers shaking. Something about this place felt wrong, as if eyes were watching from the dark, but he told himself, "It's just another old alien ruin, nothing more." He had seen wrecks before, ships, scrapyards, and fallen colonies, but never anything like this then. He heard it, a faint sound, soft as a sigh, echoing in the tunnel ahead. It was not metal groaning or water dripping. It was a voice, weak and trembling. Ethan froze, his lantern shaking in his hand. "Who's there?" He called, but his voice cracked. Silence answered him, only the slow beat of his heart in his ears. He stepped forward carefully, and that was when she appeared. A small figure stepped from the shadows. No taller than his waist, her skin glowed faint blue, her eyes huge and bright like liquid crystal. She looked fragile, almost weightless, her long silver hair falling across her shoulders. She was not human, not even close. But she was a child, a little alien girl, staring at him with fear and hope mixed in her glowing eyes. For a moment, neither spoke. Ethan raised his lantern higher, his chest tight. The girl's lips moved, and her voice broke the silence. "Are you here to hurt our mother too?" She whispered, her voice shaking. "She's dying." The words struck Ethan like a hammer. He had come here for metal, for parts, but now a child was asking him if he was here to hurt someone she called mother. He swallowed hard, not knowing what to say. "No," he managed, his voice rough. "I don't even know who your mother is." The girl's eyes softened, but fear still held her small frame. She stepped closer, her bare feet silent on the stone. Her hands clutched something close to her chest, a piece of glowing crystal, cracked in bleeding light. "She is everything," the girl said quietly. "She is our protector, our guide, our life, but they hurt her. They are still hurting her, and now she is almost gone." Ethan's heart pounded harder. He had fixed machines all his life, broken engines, dead circuits, cracked generators. But the way this girl spoke of mother was not about a machine. It sounded like she was talking about a living being, a guardian, a soul, something beyond his understanding. "Where is she?" Ethan asked, though his throat felt dry. The girl turned. Pointing deeper into the glowing tunnels, her face was pale with worry. But there was a strange strength in her gaze. "She is in the core," she whispered. "Come, you must see her." Before it's too late, Ethan wanted to refuse, to turn back and escape. This was not his problem, not his fight. But something inside him stirred. The way her voice cracked, the way her eyes begged, it felt wrong to walk away. And so he followed. The tunnels grew narrower, darker. The glowing veins along the walls pulsed like a heartbeat. Ethan's lantern flickered, fighting against the strange light that seemed to rise from the stone itself. The girl moved ahead with ease, as if the cave welcomed her. But for Ethan, every step felt heavier, as if the cave was testing him. After what felt like an eternity, they reached a vast chamber. Ethan stopped. His breath caught in his chest. The chamber was enormous, shaped like a cathedral of stone and metal. At its center stood something unlike anything he had ever seen. A massive structure, half machine and half living matter. It rose from the ground like a giant heart. Its surface cracked and glowing faintly. Pipes like veins spread across the walls, pumping weak streams of light. The entire chamber throbbed slowly, as if the place itself was alive. This was the mother. Ethan stared in silence, his lantern shaking in his hand. The girl walked forward, placing her tiny hands on the cracked surface. Her voice trembled. "She is dying, and if she dies—" "We all die," Ethan could not speak. His mind raced. Was this a machine? A living creature, a god? And why, out of all people, had he been the one to find it? Before he could answer his own thoughts, something happened. The chamber filled with a faint hum, and for a heartbeat Ethan swore he heard it. A whisper, deep inside his mind, soft, broken, but clear. "You came." Ethan stumbled back, his eyes wide. He looked at the alien girl, but she only nodded slowly. "You hear her too, don't you?" she whispered. "She chose you." And in that moment, Ethan understood one thing, whatever this was. Whatever this mother truly meant. His life was no longer his own. The chamber was alive. Every wall pulsed with a faint glow. Every crack hummed with a low vibration. Ethan stood frozen, his lantern shaking in his hand. He was a mechanic, a man who worked with rusted engines and broken wires, but nothing in his life had prepared him for this. A living machine, a heart of stone and light whispering into his mind. The little alien girl pressed her small hands against the cracked surface of the great core. Her voice was soft, trembling, but filled with devotion. "She is our mother," she said. "She holds our world together, our sky, our breath. Our light, without her, everything falls." Everything ends. Ethan took a step closer. His breath heavy, the mother was massive, larger than any ship reactor he had ever repaired. But unlike machines, she felt alive. Her surface rippled faintly, like skin. Her glow flickered weakly like a dying heartbeat. And deep inside, Ethan heard it again, a faint whisper crawling into his thoughts. "You can mend me." He stumbled back, shaking his head. "No," he muttered to himself. "I'm no healer, I'm no savior, I just fix junk." The girl turned to him, her crystal eyes shining in the dim light. "But you can fix machines, can't you?" she asked softly. "And she is both machine and life. She chose you because you can do what others cannot." Ethan wanted to protest, wanted to run. But when he looked at the girl's small, trembling hands, he could not speak. She was desperate, clinging to hope. And for some reason, that hope had fallen on him. He slowly approached the core. The closer he came, the louder the whispers grew inside his head. Not words exactly, but feelings, pain, exhaustion. The cry of something ancient and powerful. Ethan reached out a hand and placed it gently against the surface. It was warm, too warm, the warmth of fever, of something burning out. A shock ran through him. Images flashed in his mind. A great city of alien towers glowing under two suns. Children running under the watchful gaze of a massive being of light. Then fire, destruction, war, dark figures tearing into the heart of the city. And the mother screaming as they pierced her core. Ethan pulled his hand back, gasping for air. The vision left him trembling. The girl's voice broke the silence. "You saw it, didn't you?" she whispered. "You saw how they hurt her, how they are still hunting her." Ethan swallowed hard. "Who are they?" he asked. Her eyes darkened with fear. "The ones who hate life," she said quietly. "The ones who came from beyond the stars. They wanted to break her, to take her power, but she fought. And now she is fading. If she dies, the last of us will fade with her." Ethan tried to steady himself. He had always been a man of metal and tools. His world was simple. Fix what was broken. Leave the rest, but this was no engine, no machine. This was something alive, something sacred, and somehow it had chosen him. The mother's whisper came again, clearer this time. "You are key." Ethan's chest tightened. "What do you want from me?" he asked under his breath. But the answer was not words. It was a surge of pain. The core trembled, cracks glowing brighter, light bleeding like fire through stone. The girl cried out, clutching her crystal shard to her chest. "She's getting weaker," she said, her voice breaking. "You must help her now." Before she breaks apart, Ethan's mind raced. He had no tools, no schematics, no idea how to even begin. But his instincts as a mechanic whispered to him. Every machine had a system. Every system had a weakness. If this was both machine and life, then maybe, just maybe, he could find a way. He placed both hands against the cracked surface. Closing his eyes, the whispers poured into him. Faster, heavier, he saw broken circuits, dying veins of energy, shattered conduits, bleeding light. It was like crawling into the guts of a dying starship. Only this one had a soul. "Hold on," Ethan muttered. "I'll try." The girl's eyes widened with fragile hope. She stepped back, clutching her crystal shard tighter. Watching him, the chamber grew darker, the glow of the veins flickering weakly. The mother was slipping, and Ethan was racing against time. He pushed deeper into the whispers, letting the visions guide him. He saw pathways of light, connections broken, channels blocked. He followed them, tracing the flow like wires in a dead engine, and then he found it. A shattered conduit at the very heart of the core, like a torn artery bleeding out. "That's it," he whispered. "If I can patch it, maybe she can last, but how?" He had no welding torch, no spare parts. Nothing but his hands. His breath quickened as panic rose. Until he heard a soft voice behind him, the little girl. "Use this," she said. holding out the glowing shard she had carried. It is part of her heart. It broke when they hurt her. If you return it, maybe she can heal. Ethan stared at the shard, glowing faintly in her small hands. It pulsed in rhythm with the mother's broken heartbeat. He hesitated, fear gripping him. What if it doesn't work? What if it kills her faster? The girl shook her head firmly. She trusts you. I trust you. Please. Ethan's hands trembled as he took the shard. It was hot, burning into his palm, but he held on, slowly, carefully. He pressed it against the crack in the core. The light flared violently, searing his vision. The chamber shook, dust falling from the ceiling. The girl cried out, shielding her eyes. Ethan gritted his teeth, forcing the shard deeper into the crack. And then, silence, the chamber went still. The glow fading to almost nothing, Ethan's heart sank. Did I kill her? He whispered, but then, the mother's voice filled his mind again, stronger than before. Not a whisper now, but a deep echo. You have begun. The glow surged back, brighter, sharper, filling the chamber with blinding light. The veins along the walls pulsed with renewed energy. The core's heartbeat thundered through the stone. The girl dropped to her knees, tears running down her cheeks. She lives, she cried. You saved her! Ethan staggered back, his hands shaking. But inside he knew the truth. This was not over. He had not saved her, he had only delayed the end. And as the mother's voice lingered in his mind, he felt something colder, heavier, a warning. They are coming. The cave was no longer silent. The heartbeat of the mother pulsed strong again, echoing through the stone. But with every beat, Ethan felt the warning grow heavier in his chest. They are coming. He turned to the little alien girl, her tear-streaked face glowing in the renewed light. She was smiling, relieved that the mother still lived. But Ethan's gut twisted, because he knew that something had been awakened. And whatever hunted the mother would not stay away now. The girl looked up at him, her crystal eyes wide. You felt it too, didn't you? She whispered. They are close. Ethan nodded slowly, his hands still trembling from the shard's heat. Who are they? He asked, his voice low. The girl hugged her knees, her voice shaking as she spoke. They are the hunters, the ones who destroyed our city. They smell weakness. If they know she is alive again, they will come. And they will not stop. A shiver ran through Ethan. He had seen war. He had seen pirates and raiders strip colonies bare. But what he felt in her words was worse. These were not just killers. These were predators, ancient and relentless. The cave trembled faintly. A low rumble rolled through the stone. Like thunder underground, the girl gasped, pressing her ear to the wall. They're moving, she whispered. They're already inside the tunnels. Ethan's heart pounded. He looked around, searching for something. Anything he could use, but there were no weapons here. No tools but his own hands. And against creatures that could hurt the mother, he knew he was powerless. The mother's voice brushed against his mind again, urgent. Protect my child. Ethan's eyes darted to the girl. He swallowed hard, his throat dry. They'll be here soon, he muttered. Is there another way out of here? The girl shook her head. No, only one path leads here. That is why we hid. That is why we survived this long. The rumble came again, louder now, and in the shadows of the tunnel entrance, a faint glimmer appeared, not light, eyes, dozens of eyes, glowing faintly in the dark. The girl grabbed Ethan's arm. They found us, she whispered. Her small hand trembled, but she did not let go. Ethan forced himself to stand tall. He knew he couldn't fight, not really. But if the mother had chosen him, maybe there was a reason. Maybe he could at least buy them time. The shadows moved, spilling into the chamber. Figures emerged, tall and twisted, their bodies thin like broken metal and bone. Their skin shimmered like liquid obsidian, reflecting the mother's glow in jagged patterns. Their mouths were filled with rows of sharp, needle-like teeth, and their eyes glowing. Endless hunger, the girl whimpered, pressing closer to Ethan. They feed on her light, she whispered. They will drink her until nothing is left. Ethan's chest tightened. He had seen predators before, but never anything like this. These were not creatures of hunger alone. They moved with purpose, with hatred, as if they wanted not only to consume, but to erase. The largest of them stepped forward, its head tilted unnaturally. Its voice came out like cracking stone. She breathes again. The thief mends her. The cycle must end. Ethan froze. It was speaking, not in a language he knew, yet somehow he understood. The mother's whisper in his head twisted the meaning into his mind. He raised his voice, forcing the tremor out of it. "She's not yours," he said sharply. "You've hurt her enough." The creature let out a sound. Half hiss, half laugh. Its teeth glinted in the light as it leaned closer. "She belongs to none. She has power, and power is ours." The girl clung tighter to Ethan's arm. "She will die if they touch her again," she whispered. "They killed my brothers, my sisters, everyone. Only I am left." Ethan's jaw clenched. He wanted to fight, wanted to strike, but he had nothing. No weapon, no armor, only his will, and then he remembered. The shard. The piece of the mother's heart still glowing faintly where it had fused into her core. Maybe there was more. Maybe the mother had more strength to give. He pressed a hand against the core again. The whispers surged into his mind, burning with urgency. Images flooded his thoughts. The hunters breaking worlds. Consuming light, the mother scattering her children to survive. And then, a weapon not of steel but of light. A connection between him and her. "Take me," the mother's voice said. Her power rushed into his veins. Ethan gasped, his body trembling. His hands glowed faintly, threads of silver light wrapping around his skin. The girl's eyes widened. "She's giving you her strength," she whispered, awe in her voice. "She's never done that before," the hunters hissed. Their eyes narrowing, the leader raised a clawed hand and pointed at Ethan. "Kill the vessel, break the bond," they surged forward. Moving like shadows come to life, Ethan staggered, almost overwhelmed by the force burning inside him. But as the first creature lunged, he raised his glowing hand and the light burst out. A wave of energy slammed into the creature, hurling it back against the stone. The chamber shook with the impact, shards of rock falling from the ceiling. The girl gasped, eyes wide. "You can fight them," she cried. "You can protect her." Ethan's breath came heavy, the power burned. But it also filled him with a strange clarity. He was no soldier, no warrior, but he was chosen. The mother's strength flowed through him, and for the first time the hunters looked uncertain. But the leader only hissed louder. Its jagged teeth spread into a terrible grin. "The vessel burns. But vessels break." The hunters circled, their claws dragging across the stone, their hunger filling the chamber like a storm. Ethan steadied himself, the girl clutching his sleeve. He knew this was only the beginning. The fight for the mother had started, and if he failed, both she and the last of her children would vanish forever. The light in his hands flickered dangerously. The hunters moved closer, and Ethan whispered under his breath, "Guess I'm not just a mechanic anymore." The cavern was colder now, and the sound of dripping water echoed like whispers in the dark. The little alien girl held the human mechanic's hand tightly, her eyes wide with fear. Her skin glowed faintly, almost like a lamp fighting against the shadows. "Stay close," the mechanic whispered, his voice steady but his heart racing. He had seen engines collapse, ships explode, and storms tear metal apart. But this place felt different, alive, watching, waiting. The girl suddenly pulled him toward a narrow passage. "This way before it finds us," she said. He frowned. "Before what finds us?" She stopped and turned, her eyes wet. "The shadow, the one that hurt my mother, the one that drinks her life every night." The mechanic's stomach tightened. He was no soldier, no hero. He fixed things, broken hulls, failing reactors, leaky pipes. But now he was being dragged into something that felt far bigger than machines. As they stepped deeper, the air thickened. His breathing grew heavy, and the glow from the girl's skin dimmed as if the darkness was swallowing it. "Tell me," he said gently, "what exactly is happening to your mother?" The girl lowered her head. "She is our mother not only by blood, but by bond. She connects us all. Every child, every breath, her spirit is like a river." But something came, a shadow that broke into her dreams. "It feeds on her, it eats the river. Soon there will be nothing left, and we will die with her." The mechanic felt a chill run through him. He was far from home, surrounded by a dying species. And yet, this child looked at him with hope. They reached a vast chamber inside the cavern. Stalagmites rose like jagged teeth, and in the middle was a pool black as ink. The surface was too still, too perfect. The girl's voice trembled. "That's where it hides." He crouched near the water, shining his small tool light over it. No reflection came back, only emptiness. He tapped the edge with a wrench, plink. The sound didn't echo. It was swallowed. Suddenly the water rippled. A low hum filled the chamber. It wasn't sound, it was a feeling pressing against his chest. Crawling into his head, the girl whimpered. "It knows we are here." The mechanic gritted his teeth. Good. Maybe it's time I had a look at this thing. The ripples turned into waves, and from the pool rose a figure, not flesh, not bone, but shadow given shape. Its eyes glowed white, and its body stretched like smoke but carried weight. The mechanic froze. Every instinct told him to run, but his legs refused. The shadow spoke, its voice like many voices at once. Another outsider, another fool who thinks he can change what is already dying. The girl screamed, "Don't listen, it lies." She clung to the mechanic's arm. The shadow leaned closer, its face inches from his. "Human, do you know what she really is? Do you know what her mother has hidden from all of you?" The mechanic's jaw tightened. He wanted to ask, but something inside told him not to. "All I know," he said firmly, "is she asked me for help, and I don't walk away from that." The shadow's grin widened. "Then you will die with her, and the galaxy will never even remember your name." It lunged forward, but the girl suddenly raised her glowing hands. Her small body burned with light. Brighter than before, the shadow recoiled, hissing. The mechanic grabbed a tool from his belt. A plasma cutter. It wasn't a weapon, but right now it would have to be. He activated it, and the blue flame cut the darkness. The shadow snarled and sank back into the pool, but its voice lingered, echoing through the chamber. "The mother will not survive the next night, and when she falls, you fall too." The pool grew calm again, but the silence was heavy. The girl collapsed against the mechanic, exhausted. He caught her. His hands shaking, he whispered to himself, "What the hell did I just walk into?" But deep inside, he knew one thing: he couldn't leave. Not now. Not while this child still had hope. Not while her mother still breathed. As they turned back toward the passage, the cavern behind them pulsed with a faint heartbeat, as if the darkness itself was alive. The mechanic glanced at the girl. "We'll face it together." She looked up at him, her tears shimmering in the glow of her skin, and for the first time she smiled. But both of them knew the hardest fight had not even begun. The mechanic carried the little alien girl through the winding tunnels. Her glow had weakened like a candle flickering in strong wind. He felt the weight of her body and the weight of her words. "Our mother is dying." Finally, they reached a chamber unlike the others. It was vast, filled with faint lights on the walls. The air shimmered as if it carried invisible threads. At the center, lying on a stone bed, was a figure, the alien mother. She was enormous compared to the girl. Her body stretched across the bed like a living river. Her skin glowed faint silver, but the glow was broken by veins of black spreading slowly. Her breathing was shallow. Each inhale sounded like stone cracking. The girl ran forward and touched her mother's hand. "I brought him. I brought the human. He will help us." The mother's eyes opened. They were not simple eyes. They held galaxies inside them, stars spinning slowly. Her voice was soft, yet it filled the room. A human. "It has been long since your kind walked these caves." The mechanic swallowed, his throat dry. I don't know what you expect from me. I fix ships. I don't fight monsters." The mother smiled weakly. "And that is why you were chosen. A fighter would only see the shadow as an enemy to be destroyed. A healer sees it as something broken, and broken things can be mended." He froze. "You're saying that thing can be fixed?" Her eyes dimmed with pain. "The shadow was once one of us. It was a guardian spirit bound to protect this world, but it was poisoned, twisted by hunger. Now it feeds on my essence. If I fall, all of my children will die with me." The girl clutched her mother's hand tighter. "Please don't leave us. Please stay." Her small voice cracked. The mechanic stepped closer, his mind racing. "If it used to protect you, maybe it still can. Maybe there's a way to cut the poison out of it." The mother looked at him with a strange sadness. "If you try, you may not survive, for to heal it, you must let it inside you." The chamber grew cold. The mechanic's chest tightened. He remembered every scar on his hands. Every night he worked alone in dark engine rooms with only broken metal for company. He had never thought of himself as special, yet now, an entire species looked at him as their only hope. The girl's voice broke through his thoughts. "If you die, I will be alone." Her words struck him harder than any shadow could. He knelt beside the alien mother. "Tell me what I have to do." The mother's hand, larger than his chest, reached out and touched his forehead. A sudden wave of visions poured into him, memories not his own. He saw the shadow as it once was, a towering guardian of light, roaring against storms, protecting countless lives. Then he saw it fall into darkness, screaming as black tendrils wrapped around its spirit, twisting it into hunger. The mechanic gasped, his body trembling. I felt it. It's in pain. It doesn't even know what it's doing. The mother nodded slowly. Yes, that is why it cannot be destroyed. It must be healed, but the poison is strong. And it will fight you? The girl gripped his sleeve. Don't go, please. You'll vanish like the others. Others? He asked, his heart skipping. The mother's voice grew faint. Yes, others tried, warriors, priests. Seekers, none survived. Their bodies broke under the weight of the shadow's grief, but you, human, you carry something different, a stubborn heart that refuses to break. The mechanic's stomach twisted. He wanted to run, to escape. But when he looked at the girl's tearful face, and the mother's fading glow, he knew his choice was already made. He stood tall, his voice steady though his hands shook. Then I'll do it, not because I'm chosen, not because I'm ready, but because no one else will. The mother's galaxies dimmed, but a smile touched her lips. Then you are more ready than you think. The cavern began to shake. A low growl rose from the depths. The shadow was coming. It had felt the challenge. The girl pressed her forehead against his arm, whispering, Come back, please. You are the only one who listened. The mechanic put his hand on her head gently. I'll come back, I promise, though inside. He wasn't sure if promises mattered anymore. The pool of blackness at the edge of the chamber rippled violently. Dark mist spilled out like smoke. The shadow rose again, its voice shaking the walls. So the human thinks he can carry me? Fool, you will drown in my hunger. The mechanic stepped forward, his voice low but fierce. Maybe. But I've fixed worse things than you. The chamber lights flickered. The mother closed her eyes, giving him her final strength. And the girl clung to his side, whispering, Don't let go, and with that the shadow struck. The shadow's strike was not like claws or teeth, it was a flood. It rushed into the mechanic's chest like ice water, forcing his knees to the ground. His lungs burned, his heart hammered, and for a moment he could not see the cave at all. He was somewhere else. Darkness surrounded him, endless and crushing. His boots sank into a floor that felt alive. Pulsing like flesh, voices whispered from all sides. Some soft, some sharp, some crying, You will fail, you will break, you are nothing. The mechanic clenched his fists. His mind screamed to fight, but the whispers slid deeper, wrapping around his thoughts like chains. Then a figure appeared ahead, a tall shadow with burning white eyes. Its body was torn and twisted, but under the blackness, faint cracks of light glowed like a trapped fire. The shadow's voice thundered. You think you can heal me, human? You are dust, you are weak. You will drown in my sorrow. The mechanic forced himself to stand straight. His voice shook but held steady. I've been drowning my whole life. In work, in silence, in things no one else wanted to fix. Maybe I'm the only one stubborn enough to stand here. The shadow roared. The floor cracked beneath his feet. Black waves rose and crashed against him. Each one filled with visions meant to break him. He saw his old workshop empty. He saw friends walking away. Leaving him behind, he saw his younger self, struggling in silence, told he was not strong enough, not smart enough, worthless. The pain cut deep. He felt his chest tighten until he could hardly breathe. His legs trembled, he nearly fell. But then he remembered the little alien girl's face, her eyes full of tears when she whispered, If you die, I will be alone. That memory hit harder than any wave. He shouted, his voice cutting through the darkness. I'm not worthless, not to her, not now. Light sparked under his boots. The waves cracked apart, the shadow hissed in pain. The mechanic stepped forward. Every step was heavy, like pushing against a storm, but with each move, more light broke through the ground. The shadow growled, its white eyes blazing. You cannot save me, my hunger is endless, even if you heal me. I will destroy you in the process. The mechanic gritted his teeth. Then I'll take the chance. Better to try and fail than let you keep feeding on them. The shadow lunged, wrapping around him. Black tendrils pierced into his chest, into his head. His veins burned like fire. His mind filled with screams. It was trying to rip his soul apart for a terrifying moment. He felt himself slipping, his body not his own, his hands moving against his will, his thoughts melting into the shadow's grief. Then a small, trembling voice cut through the storm. It was the little alien girl, faint but clear. Don't let go. You promised. The mechanic's heart surged. His hands clenched, he shouted into the void. I won't break. The tendrils snapped, his body glowed with light, his own light. Born from stubborn will, the shadow reeled back, screeching. Its cracks of light widened, bursting through the black shell. The mechanic saw it now, not just a monster, but a broken guardian trapped in its own pain. He stepped closer, reaching out a hand. The shadow snarled. "Stay back. If you touch me, you will die." "Maybe," the mechanic said, his voice steady. "But no one deserves to suffer alone." He pressed his hand against the shadow's chest. The world exploded in blinding light. Screams filled the air, not only of rage but of sorrow. The mechanic felt everything. The guardian's grief. Its betrayal. The poison that had twisted it. The centuries of loneliness it tried to drag him under. Tried to make him share its hunger. His knees buckled, blood ran from his nose. His vision blurred, still he held on. He whispered through the pain, "You're not a monster. You're broken, and broken things can be fixed." The cracks widened until the entire shadow burst apart, black fragments dissolving into ash. What remained was light, pure and blinding. A massive shape of glowing silver emerged, a guardian, tall and radiant, its eyes clear for the first time in centuries. The mechanic collapsed, gasping, his body shaking. His skin burned with strange glowing lines, marks left by the struggle. The guardian knelt before him, its voice soft. No longer thunder, but sorrowful gratitude. "You did what no warrior, no priest, no seeker could do. You healed me. At the cost of yourself." The mechanic tried to laugh, but blood filled his mouth. "That's my job. Fixing things no one else wants to touch." The guardian's light dimmed with sadness. "You are breaking apart inside. The poison lingers in you now. You cannot survive long." The mechanic's head fell back, his body heavy, his eyes closed. The last thing he heard before the world faded was the little girl's scream echoing through the cavern. "Don't leave me." The cave fell silent after the blinding light faded. Only the sound of dripping water echoed against the stone walls. The human mechanic lay on the cold ground, his chest rising and falling shallowly. His skin glowed faintly with strange lines. Like veins of fire under his flesh, the little alien girl rushed to his side. Her small hand shook as she touched his face. "Please wake up, please don't leave me. You promised." Her tears dropped on his cheek, glowing as they touched the strange marks on his skin. The guardian, now free from the shadow's curse, stood tall and radiant. Its body shimmered like silver flame, but its expression carried deep sorrow. It looked down at the mechanic with eyes filled with both awe and grief. "He carries my curse within him," the guardian said softly. Its voice was like wind and thunder mixed. "No mortal body can hold it for long. His soul will burn away." The little girl shook her head fiercely, clutching the mechanic's hand. "No! He saved you, he saved us. You can save him too." The guardian lowered its head, sadness etched in its glowing form. "To save him would mean binding my essence to his. He will no longer be human as he was. He will become something else, half mortal, half eternal." The girl looked at the mechanic's pale face. His lips moving faintly as though caught between dreams, she whispered, "Do it. Please do it." The guardian's light pulsed. He must choose, his soul must agree, or it will destroy him instead of saving him. And then, inside the darkness of his fading mind, the mechanic heard the voice. He was floating, weightless. In a void filled with stars, his body felt heavy. But his spirit was awake. A voice boomed gently around him. "Human, you gave me freedom, now I offer you a choice. Stay here, rest, and fade into peace. Or rise again as something new, something not bound by the limits of your kind." The mechanic hesitated. His whole life he had been a simple man, fixing broken machines, carrying his loneliness quietly. He never wanted power, never wanted destiny. But then he remembered the little girl's face, her tears, her plea, her small hands clinging to his. He whispered into the void, "I can't leave her." "Not yet." The voice of the guardian grew louder, filled with fire and sorrow. "Then take my essence, share my light. You will not be the same, you may never know peace again, but you will live." The mechanic breathed deeply, his voice steady. "Then I accept." The void exploded into light. Back in the cave, the mechanic's body arched violently. His glowing marks blazed brighter. The guardian pressed its massive hands over his chest, pouring its own essence into him. The air shook, the cavern walls trembled. Streams of water turned into glowing rivers as energy flowed through the chamber. The little girl screamed, covering her eyes as light engulfed them all. And then silence. When the light faded, the guardian was gone. Only ashes of silver sparkles floated in the air, drifting like dying stars. The mechanic lay on the ground still. Then, He opened his eyes, but his eyes were no longer the same. They glowed faint silver, faintly inhuman. His body rose slowly, his wounds sealed. The glowing marks now settled like permanent scars across his arms and neck. The little girl gasped. "You're alive." She threw her arms around him, sobbing into his chest. The mechanic held her tightly, but his hands trembled. He felt strange, heavier and lighter at the same time. His heart beat strong. Yet his mind echoed with whispers of ancient voices. He was human, but not only human anymore. From deeper in the cavern, a rumble rose. The poison of the shadow still lingered in the stone, cracks glowing dark red. The ground shook, water spilled. The little girl cried out, "It's not over. The cave is breaking." The mechanic's glowing eyes scanned the shadows. For the first time, he didn't feel small. He didn't feel weak. He felt the guardian's strength inside him. He picked up the girl and carried her toward the exit. His steps heavy but sure, behind them the cavern collapsed. Great walls of stone falling. The black poison writhed and hissed. But when it touched the marks on his skin, it burned away like smoke. At last they stumbled into the night outside. The stars shone cold and bright above. The girl clung to his arm, shivering. "You saved me again," she whispered. The mechanic looked at the cave behind them. Now sealed forever under rubble, his chest ached. But not from weakness, from power barely contained inside him, he whispered to himself. "No, I only borrowed strength. The real fight might still come." The girl tugged his sleeve, her eyes wide and fearful. Then, "What are you now?" The mechanic looked down at his glowing hands, flexed them and let the faint silver light fade. His voice was quiet, almost bitter but steady. "I don't know. Not human, not guardian. Maybe both," he glanced at her. "But whatever I am, I'm still me, and I'll protect you." The girl smiled faintly through her tears, gripping his arm tighter. As they walked away into the dark forest, the wind whispered through the trees like the fading voice of the guardian. "Your path has only begun, child of two worlds." And the mechanic, though unsure of what he had become, felt the weight of destiny settle on his shoulders like a cloak he never asked for. But he didn't stop walking, because somewhere, in the shadows of the galaxy, something was already stirring, something that had felt the guardian's light break free, and it was coming.